All right, everyone, welcome in for another episode of the Lowdown Sports Show. I'm your host, Drew.
I'm BJ. Welcome to 2023.
Hey, welcome in. And we are here to get the lowdown on all things basketball.
Yes, sir.
Like BJ said, welcome into 2023.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. We're a little late, but Happy New Year nonetheless.
Yeah, it's okay.
Plen-
It's okay.
and plenty of awesome things happening in the basketball world so far in this new year. It's been spectacular so far, big time. Some things we haven't seen in a while, some records,
Mm,
oh man, we just,
man,
we got a lot to talk about. It's gonna be the whole episode today.
yeah,
NBA.
if you got go back to just like just prior to the Christmas games, we've seen. I don't think we've seen a better 2 to 3 weeks span of like individual performances than we've seen across the NBA in the last 2 to 3 weeks, which is
Man,
mind-boggling.
it is crazy the way things are going right now, and the tide is turning in some aspects of the NBA right now for some teams, in good ways, some in bad ways for some other teams. But we'll get into some of that here. We will be talking about one of those teams, the LA Lakers, who it is getting good for in one aspect right now. Also talking about those Brooklyn Nets who are catching fire. They were dimmed a little bit last night, but scorching nonetheless. Also, going to get into that coveted MVP race, and we got to talk about whether this is the closest MVP race in NBA history or like
Spoiler
within
alert,
in the last
maybe.
however long. We'll get there,
Yeah.
and an all-time performance from a nice young player in the NBA.
Hmm.
We're digging into all of it today, ladies and gentlemen. BJ's Best, of course, is on tap right after we start off a little bit of this NBA. What's on Drew's mind and with it or quit it? So when that guy over there lets us know
This
that
guy.
he's ready, we're going to get it going.
This guy right
That,
here.
yeah, that one
This
right
guy.
there. Yeah.
Oh, all right. Well, enough dilly dallying. Let's get it going, man.
All right, let's do this thing. Okay, so we're going to kick it off with the LA Lakers. When you open the season, LA Lakers, so much turmoil, trying to get rid of Russell Westbrook. What kind of unit do they have this year? They didn't pay Malik Monk. He's out in Sacramento now. They lost some guys. They brought in Lonnie Walker. We didn't know what the season was going to look like. LeBron year 20. What do you expect from a player in year 20? But it is LeBron James. Anthony Davis, will he or will he not be healthy? So many questions for those Lakers coming in, and they did struggle for a bit. And then Anthony Davis got into MVP type form, doing some monstrous things, and that helped the Lakers stay alive. And LeBron having the numbers that he's having this year, 29, 8, and 7, BJ, in year 20, uh, kept the Lakers afloat so far. They've had some injury bugs here and there. Total LeBron James and Anthony Davis, I believe, have missed about, oh man, I can't even get the total number of games. They've
I
missed a
was
lot
to
of games.
say, ever since they started
19?
2-10, LeBron and Anthony Davis have combined to miss 19
19.
games.
Okay, okay.
Yeah,
Because I was thinking about it, that sounded
just
like a
since they
lot for a
started two
second.
and ten,
Yeah, yeah.
and they
So
might have missed some games in that 2-10 start too. If I'm not
yes,
mistaken, they
yeah,
had like at least one or two each.
yeah.
Felt like
So
at least.
yeah, so that's a lot of missed games. But the Lakers have been able to get some wins. When LeBron and AD haven't been there, and when it's just been LeBron manning the ship. BJ, you got it up right there. Tell me what that Lakers record's been since they started 2-10.
Yeah, absolutely. Ever since this is going back to November 12th. So this is when the Lakers were 2-10. Everybody was talking about, oh, got to trade LeBron, get, blow it all up and start rebuilding from scratch. Lakers are tied for the fifth best record at 15-11 since then, just a one half game behind the Dallas Mavericks, who've been really turning it on as of late at 16-11. The only three teams better than the Mavs and the Lakers in that span are the Pelicans at 18-8, the Nuggets at 16-9, and the Grizzlies at 15-9. Those are all Western Conference teams, not just across the NBA, but fifth best in the West, I should say.
And with this emergence of the Lakers and their let's say well play of late, 15-11 with LeBron and AD missing 19 games in that
Yeah.
span. I mean, that's pretty nice. That's pretty good.
That
That's
means
pretty
they've
good.
only played a combined 7 games together, it looks like,
There,
in that span.
the Lakers are starting to figure it out, but they're not necessarily healthy enough to get it, you know, fully
Yeah.
together. year at the moment.
Hmm.
More than likely, post All Star break. I mean, is that a good time to kick it on? Heck yeah, but um,
Absolutely. Yeah.
you like to keep the rhythm going while you got it right here. But someone else is helping out BJ Russell Westbrook off the bench.
Yeah.
In a recent game, we talk about LeBron and AD not playing. LeBron and AD both missed the game versus the Heat on Wednesday, and those Lakers came
Hmm.
out on top 112-109.
Yeah.
Russell Westbrook had 21, 8, and 7 off the bench, BJ. I mean, setting some records for some off the bench stuff. Is he pretty much a shoe in for the sixth man of the year at this point?
Yeah, I mean, and it's just weird because you don't think about Russell Westbrook coming off the bench as he's had to, as the Lakers have used him this year, because he's still, up there and can get you all kinds of points. And, I mean, just the way he is as a player, he comes in pretty close to, a triple double when he's a starter out there and is able to get that. So coming off the bench and nearly putting up those kind of same numbers like when he's a starter. I mean, there's not too many players out there that are coming off the bench that are remotely close to doing things like that or capable of doing things like that. So I wouldn't say shoe in yet because a lot can change. We've seen that very quickly change in the NBA, but right now it's tough to see anybody coming back and taking that away from them at this point.
Let's see. There are very few players that have been six man of the year and MVP in their careers. Those look like I think it's just a couple, right? James Harden
Hmm.
and Bill Walton.
Yeah.
There's some other names um, on here who
And
are a perennial six men, but
yeah.
only these two won an MVP as well.
And
What Russell
normally
Westbrook would join that exclusive list.
And normally you do it the other way around. This would be Westbrook winning an MVP first and then winning a six man. Normally you kind of get into that six man role. You prove how valuable you can be. You win the six man of the year, and then you elevate your game up and get to that next level and become the MVP. This would be, something, I mean, as many times as we said, kind of unprecedented things that we're seeing in the NBA today. This would be, no doubt something that we hadn't seen happen before. The way that Westbrook would do it, winning the MVP first and then the sixth man.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy to think that he's about to do that. He's got a really good chance. I mean, who's really
Mhm.
gonna who's he in contention with for six man of the year right now? Christian Wood's starting now, so I mean, I don't know if he's got enough games off the bench under his belt to be considered in that now. We'll have to see where Christian Wood's at with his total number of games. Let's take a
I mean,
look.
I guess the only ones that you can make the argument for, Tyler Harrow's the two-time defending, but I don't know if he's going to be able to
Uh,
get up there and usurp Russell Westbrook. Maybe Jordan Poole. I know he's been starting him as a result of the
yeah,
Steph Curry injury. Poole is a fantastic pick for it. Maybe Lou Williams, but I don't know.
nah.
I don't think there's really anybody that you can make the argument for at this point
Christian Wood
outside of
started 10 games out of 35 so far, so he's probably theoretically still technically in
yeah.
consideration, but
I think he would be.
these Lakers have Dennis Schroeder putting up 32 in that game against the Heat, and getting what they have from Westbrook off the
Hmm.
bench, the help from Walker, and they're getting healthier as well. None getting some more minutes for him, and LeBron doing what he's doing in year 20, and once
Yeah.
they get Anthony Davis back, which is I'm not sure the exact timeline on that, but let's just say it's in and around the All Star break. If you being extra cautious and safe right after, I mean, it's a good time to get things clicking if it works out like that for LA. But they're looking good right now, BJ. They're looking good. Who else is looking good? The Brooklyn Nets. They went on a 12-game winning streak, BJ, until they met the Chicago Bulls on Wednesday. But they're doing ridiculous stuff. I'm trying to remember these splits because I didn't find them on my phone, but I'm remembering some of the numbers. KD during the 12-game win streak is averaging 50, 40, 90, and Kyrie just short of that, I think, in one of those percentages. Not sure which one, but both stars averaging over 25 a game during that span. Brooklyn 12-1 in the last 13 games, in that 12-game win streak, as we said. But they're really going crazy. And Nick Claxton, BJ, center for the Nets, he's really become a defensive cornerstone for them, and he's having a breakout season. I don't know if it was his haircut or what, but
I probably
having a
not.
great
Although if you look good, you play good. So maybe there is a
yeah.
little bit something to it. I find this interesting, Drew. Obviously, this is just from a couple days before the winning streak came to an end. This is from when they were still on an 11 game winning streak. The Nets offense been firing on all cylinders. Offensive rating of 123.4 in that span. 4 points per 100 possessions clear of the Knicks, who are in second place. And the Knicks were doing pretty well. They had a pretty, I think, a 7 or 8 game winning streak just before the Nets started up their winning streak. So, the New York teams are doing pretty well as of late. But, we get, you talk about Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving, as you rightfully should when you've got two superstars on that team, Drew. But I want to mention, Ben Simmons actually has been playing very well
Oh
and
yeah,
has
he's
finally come back to that level that we have expected from him and expected of him in Philadelphia. A 16.3 net rating during the winning streak that they just wrapped up the other night.
yeah. Ben Simmons is starting to play well again. And you're getting some production from your bench too. Seth Curry's been playing well. He had 20 plus off the bench in one of their recent games. So if you got the other Curry brother out there, playing well and being healthy, because he started off the season a little bit injured as well, which is a part of their lack of depth early on. But
Mm-hmm.
now they're looking good. Players are healthy, and the Nets are a force. And in power rankings right now, they've got go. Nets are in the top three. In the top echelon of where they think the best teams are in the NBA, and a
Yeah.
lot of most people are saying Nets right now, just slight edge over the Nuggets.
Yeah,
Where are
and
you
it
leaning?
makes sense. I mean, when we've known the past 3 or 4 years, even going back to when the duo of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving announced that they were going to be going to Brooklyn. Well, I guess Kevin Durant announcing that he was going to join Brooklyn, and then them bringing in James Harden. We've known that this team, when everybody's fully healthy and the talent's there for them to be the title contender, just for whatever reason, it hasn't gotten beyond that semifinal round this year. So that's kind of what remains to be seen. We know they've got the talent to do it. We know that Kevin Durant, you know, he has not gotten to that point. One championship appearance outside of his runs in Golden State, and they of course lost to LeBron in the Heat in 2012. But
Yeah,
we know they've got the talent to do it. It's just going to be a matter of when we see them in the playoffs, can they, have everything clicking in all gears at the right time, and can they make that run? That's the next step, and that's what remains to be seen.
yeah, we're gonna have to see if they can withstand it through the rest of the season into those playoffs. But I think they might be able to manage it. They're looking really good. I'm not saying they're gonna get another 12-game win streak going or
Mm-hmm.
anything like that, but the ship is steady right now in Brooklyn. Jacques Vaughn, his spot is secured, and what they're doing, and they're an improved defensive team. BJ, over the years, I mean, that's been kind of the complaint about Brooklyn. They had all these scorers, and people could get buckets. Kyrie, KD, Joe Harris. They talked about Patty Mills, Seth Curry, and now they're playing good defense. I was talking about Nick Claxton earlier. I mean, he's getting votes he's in the All Star voting. His name is in the
Mm-hmm.
in the polling so far. I mean,
Yeah,
he's probably not going to be an All Star, but he can definitely be an All Defensive player this year.
yeah,
So I
yeah.
mean, that's big time when you've got a rim protector like Claxton who's having a breakout season right now. When your team's playing the way they are, the Nets looking really good.
Yeah, isn't it
Really good.
amazing how, I mean, if you told us when we were talking about all the turmoil and drama that was going on, at the beginning of our season three just a few weeks ago, it feels like. Obviously, it's been a little bit longer now. But when we were talking about Brooklyn and how much, drama, controversy, they were in our show every week being talked about for various different reasons. And now we're talking about them, but it's in a completely different manner. We're finally getting to talk about them and their performance on the court without all the extreme circumstances that were plaguing them off the court. It's remarkable the turnaround that they've had here in just such a short time.
Yeah, they really look like a happy group, and like it's truly all behind them what was all
Yeah,
going on. They're all just playing ball now. So
yeah,
that's great. And if they can keep the distractions out there, I mean, who knows truly what Brooklyn's ceiling is? Is it could they grab a championship this year for real? For real,
yeah.
BJ.
I think that's always the ceiling when you've got as much talent as these guys have. The question is, will they be playing their best basketball at that point in the year?
And I think this will be the first time they'll be going into the playoffs with both KD and Kyrie. Yeah.
Didn't they have them both last
Well,
year? I
did they
mean,
have him
yeah,
last
not
year?
the whole season, but
And like he didn't. I don't think Kyrie played every game in the series they lost to the Bucks.
yeah,
Um,
I think you're right now that you mentioned that.
I don't know. I could
It's
be
tough.
tripping,
It's
but
tough.
yeah, they're both playing premier basketball, and if we can, we're gonna love to watch it from a fan perspective. Uh, lost affiliate in round two. There you go. Appreciate our chatters out there. Um, but yeah, Nets are looking awesome, and as long
Yeah.
as they stay healthy, which is Kevin Durant not too long ago in his near MVP season that we were talking about previously,
Hmm.
last season, BJ getting hurt a little bit for a while and derailing things kind of for the
Yeah.
Nets and putting them in a poor matchup position. Um, if they can just stay healthy, it's
Hmm.
health is the name of the game. Usually, the
Yeah.
healthiest team at the end of the year, the best healthiest team is the one that kind of takes
Yeah.
it. So it's all
Yeah.
about health for those guys.
Absolutely. I
Down
mean, it's just
down.
hard to believe that was just last season that they had, KD was just balling out of his mind. And I mean, KD's name is still in the MVP race. We'll talk about
Yeah,
that here in just a bit, but it feels like there's so many good candidates that are above him that you were not really talking about him for that MVP conversation. Maybe we should start.
it's pretty crazy. We might should start, but what
We
we
should.
need to do really quick is step aside for BJ's best.
Well, Icy thinks he knows what my best is going to be this week. Wow,
Oh,
that's a bold strategy, Cotton. Let's hope it pays off for him. Um, I could go a lot of different ways with this.
okay.
I woke up Sunday morning and it was 2023, and my TCU Horned Frogs were going to be playing for a national championship in just a few days.
Mm,
I thought about making that BJ's best. I really did. I made a game time decision, a late scratch, and I went a different route though.
okay.
Um, Obviously, Drew, I know you know. I know Icy, who is in our chat, knows, and I'm sure unless you've just been, not paying attention to any kind of news or sports this week, you're familiar with what happened on a national platform on Monday Night Football with just a normal freak accident that happened on a routine normal football play to Bill safety Damar Hamlin. And not to make light of that, I do want to say that, one of the things that goes into BJ's best is how much he's recovered and how much he's progressing. He's still not able to talk at this point, Drew, because they do still have him, have a breathing tube in him, but he is awake, he's alert, he's conscious, he's, fully clicking up here mentally. Um, which is just fantastic because when he hit the ground hard, and we were really worried about potentially having some brain damage or a concussion. How long did he go without oxygen after he collapsed on the field? It looks like he's not suffering any kind of mental function loss or anything after that, which is fantastic. um, so I just wanted to say that. But the reason I bring that up is just because BJ's best this week has to be the overwhelming support from fan bases, from people all over the country, all over the world, that have donated to his charity and donated, to his toy drive that, as of yesterday morning, has now topped over $6 million. Damar Hamlin set this up back in 2020, Drew. I'm trying to make sure I don't get this wrong, because this is a very important thing to make sure to get right. He set this up to purchase toys for children that were impacted by the pandemic. This was back when he was still at Pitt, before he'd even been drafted into the NFL. And just the sheer selflessness that Hamlin did. And before Monday night, I don't know. I think I remember it was less than, it was about 100,000 maybe or like that. It's now topped over $6 million, and you're just seeing, you know, this is truly a, unprecedented situation, not just with the injury, but with, you know, everybody coming together and giving something back to someone who was, had such a horrible thing happen to him, and just something that we're not accustomed to seeing. It is truly inspiring to see um, what it means, what the brotherhood of football means to this country, and seeing people giving back to someone they've never met, probably will never meet. And it's not going to him, it's going to help those that are less fortunate, getting toys for kids and everything. And it just, it is such a great thing to see this week with everything going on, that that the we've been able to see such an outpouring of love and support for this young man, and for what he was, what he's trying to do with that toy drive.
Yeah, man, that was a crazy scene on Monday Night Football.
Hmm.
It was it was kind of crazy. Like I was watching the game, I watched him make the hit and
Yeah,
stand up and adjust his helmet, and I looked down, I looked away. So and then next thing I know, I look back up and he's on the ground. I thought I didn't know who it was. I didn't really notice it was him. I
yeah,
thought somebody was just down with a regular injury.
yeah,
And I'm most of all just thankful for that Bills trainer, because sometimes you can get off with conversation with people on the sidelines. You could be looking somewhere else and not notice fast enough. But I
yeah.
mean, he was immediate. Realized how
Right on
serious the
it. Hmm.
situation was. And once I saw the replay on here when they showed it to us, I knew immediately how serious it was as well.
Yeah,
As and it's just remarkable how fast they got out there and got everything done. It just my heart dropped when I saw the replay and just saw him fall, because I mean, like,
yeah.
people don't just, like, he was good. He made a tackle. He adjusted his helmet and
Got up,
he just
took a tough
passes out.
couple steps,
You know,
and went down. Yeah,
cardiac arrest, and it was just scary. And like, I'm so that's almost the reason I didn't go through with athletic training, because in that moment, like, I'm so terrified. Like, can I even do my job at this point? So, like,
yeah,
that's just even more, just hats off to the trainer over there. I mean, he's working for an NFL team, so I mean, he's very confident in himself. But
yeah,
that's the most unique situation in football, you could probably say, now at this point. And he was on top of it, ready, and he
yeah.
saved this young man's life.
Yeah,
And
and with something like that, it's not just, getting out there, quickly. Like, every second really mattered.
every
It
second. And
Yeah,
yeah, and the doctors were talking about, if it weren't for the trainer recognizing immediately how
hmm,
serious it was, like if he was checking for something else, like a regular normal, like, hey, what's going on, and not
yeah,
realizing, like, who knows, like, we may not have Damar Hamlin,
yeah,
right now. So, and we're just, I mean, we're unbelievably thankful that he is here, and it's just crazy
yeah,
because it was so scary also to me, just because, like, he's so young too. He's
yeah,
24, and we've lost a lot of young people and a lot of young black men lately, and it would
yeah,
just, I don't know, it just would just shake the waves of the world, and it just would be so uneasy. But it was a
yeah,
scary scene, and just just a lot of people I don't even see, like, that I don't think probably regularly watch football like that. Maybe occasionally
yeah.
do and don't follow sports like we do. We're popping in on Damar Hamlin,
Yeah.
and it was just
Well,
it was
and
crazy to see the outpouring. It was outstanding, and
yeah,
I'm
this was a situation where, you've got millions of people watching, because not only is it, Monday Night Football, it's a great matchup between two playoff teams, two of the top three seeds in the AFC conference. Two teams that might meet again here in a few weeks in the postseason. It's played the day after New Year's. A lot of people are still off, and and about to go back to work the next day, and want to, they've been watching, all the bowl games for college football all day long, with like the Tulanes of the world pulling off huge upsets over USC in the Cotton Bowl, or Penn State, rising to the occasion and winning the Rose Bowl for the Big Ten. You've been watching football all week, or all day, and this is the cap on a fantastic day of action where your football fix is in, because you know well, after this day, you've only got one more week of the regular season. Then it's postseason for NFL. You've got one more game for the college ranks, and then you got to go until summertime before you even get like off-season workouts beginning up. And getting ready for that preseason. Um, so there was a lot of people that were watching just because they want football, and to have that kind of happen in that magnitude of a game that early on, it's just completely unprecedented. And like you said, it really does show how seconds matter, because they show him making the play, everything looks normal, they cut away, and then they cut back and you see him on the ground and they go to break, and you think, well, we're accustomed to this. I don't know what happened, we didn't see it. In a matter of moments we'll be back and the game will resume. Well, you get back and there's a stretcher out there, and you're like, oh, okay, I guess this is a little bit more serious. They go to break again, and another few minutes pass, and then the next thing you see, they come back and there's an ambulance on the field, and you're like, oh my god, this is
And then that's
serious.
when we get the notice that he was
That
giving
they've been doing
CPR out there,
CPR.
and they
Yeah,
had a defibrillator out there.
yeah,
Um, yeah,
yeah.
it's
It was a scary situation, and I mean, I just kept hoping and praying. I didn't sleep well Monday night into Tuesday morning. I don't know if you were any different. I just was just dreading going to sleep and waking up and hearing that it was the worst case scenario. And I am so thankful that the outpouring of love and support and prayers really did work in this case. And not only did they were they able to get him the treatment he needed, and he is recovering very well at this pace, and there's still a long way to go, but the progress he's made is fantastic. It's phenomenal, and it should really go to show how much that means. I really think that this is one of the few times that we have seen such an outpouring of love and support, and to see how much it means to the Bills community, how much it means to the football community. It's been a powerful thing.
And I also want to commend the broadcasters who were put in an extremely tough and awkward spot at that. I
Yeah.
know, heck, from a fan perspective, just watching them have to do it was pretty awkward. And the fact that Buck and Eggman had to pass it to the other studio, and it's
Hmm.
just like, well, guys, I mean, you got to be thinking in the Monday Night Football studio, like, well, if they don't know what to say, like, what are we about to say? You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like,
and who
it
want
is.
who wants to speculate at this point, not knowing anything? You're kind of just waiting and
And
holding your breath and waiting for more information. Like I think they did a fantastic job.
And they had to do it for an hour, BJ, because
Hmm.
they didn't cancel that game. So, I mean, it was
No,
over an hour. It was about an hour, 15 minutes or
yeah,
so
before they
that they
they.
had to keep just, dragging that thing along. And,
Hmm.
I know there's no necessary plan for things like that, but it seems
Yeah,
like ESPN didn't have any type of backup plan at all for the broadcast. I mean,
yeah,
I get the uniqueness of the situation, and like no
yeah,
specific one for that scenario, but like it was just take it to this studio, have this, make these guys feel awkward in the studio having to talk about it for a while, then bounce it back to these guys to be awkward for a little while, bounce back to
yeah.
these guys and these guys,
Yeah,
and
well,
it was
and
just.
yeah, there's really, I mean, you're in that situation, Drew, and I mean, I can, I know there's a lot of logistics, and I mean, we could do a whole show probably just talking about this, just because of, I think you and I both have had, courses behind the scenes in that, the sport management kind of side of things in our college days. Um, but the thing about it is when the injury first happens, it's not something that you don't necessarily like normal injuries that obviously are not normal, but have become normalized because of the sport, the nature. Like if you break your leg or if you have a concussion, there is a protocol in place to resume that game even after seeing something like that.
Hmm.
The normal protocol, especially for a lengthy injury like that that takes a few minutes, gives both teams a period of 5 minutes to warm up. And when they were able to get him off the field, that was kind of what kicked into gear, because that's just for a lengthy injury. It doesn't attain the fact that this young man potentially his life is on the line. So they both teams were like, yeah, we can't do this, as distracting as that situation, not knowing how he is going to be. Nobody's in the right headspace to play or coach in this game. Um, and so as a broadcaster, because of that, you're in a situation where until you're told something from the league, and the league has to ascertain from the teams where they are, where their headspace is, how do you think that you can, play tonight, or what do we need to do? Then you're kind of in limbo, waiting around, because until the game is officially postponed, suspended, canceled, whatever, it's NFL coverage. It's supposed to be, you're supposed to have a broadcast. And,
And that,
I think it's better that ESPN kind of had the awkward shuffling back and forth, because I know for me, it was very off putting to see, them talk about the injury, and then they go to break and they show advertisements, and I don't know about you, but I got so tired of hearing that Burger King ad that incessantly seemed to play like every two or three ads during that time. So I mean, that you're kind of six one way, half dozen the other in terms of what you do. It's a no win situation, regardless of what you do.
and it's kind of the fault of the NFL for taking so long to cancel or suspend the game. It shouldn't have taken an hour.
Mm-hmm.
An hour plus to cancel that game. Far too long to make the decision on that. Players obviously didn't want to play. Coaches obviously decided they weren't going to. Um, the hour,
Yeah,
I think, was just a little bit lengthy, and just the fact of you know with this whole situation, um, you've you don't need to be put in that spot as a broadcaster. If the NFL
yeah.
just takes care of their business early, they don't have to go on and on for an hour like that and play those same old commercials. Because I mean, we'd be having to do that same thing too. Like if we were on the radio, play the same old stinking ads,
Mm-hmm.
over and over and over.
Yeah,
Heck, I think it would be worse for a radio situation. So I can't even imagine what the radio broadcasts were like that whole time.
because you
Going
can't
through it
show
because
what, like
you
what the
can't
TV
show it,
showing.
and in some cases, like our case, if it was high school, we can't say anything about it. Like
Mm-hmm.
we gotta. I mean, there's got to be a backup plan for us in that scenario.
Yeah.
Um, and then at that point, people know something's going on. Like as far as like an injury, why else would we just be fiddle farting around for no reason in the middle of what the first
Yeah.
quarter or whatever,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's just, I wish the broadcasters didn't have to get put in that position. The NFL canceled the game faster so they don't have to do that.
Yeah.
Shout out to Booger in that situation and everybody that had to deal with it. But it's
Yeah.
just an awkward situation for any broadcast. I don't know how I would have been because I mean it shook me up enough just to watch it and then to have to
Me too.
go on and on
Absolutely.
about it and like
Yeah.
imagine being Aikman or Buck right
But
there and
yeah.
like being the ones there witnessing what just happened and then have to immediately, you know,
Yeah.
figure out something to say to people. Like you don't even know what to say to yourself.
Yeah.
Like we wouldn't even know like maybe even know what to say to each other. So it's just a
Yeah.
tremendous amount of pressure in an unprecedented situation. It's a lot
Absolutely.
for a lot of people and
Absolutely. And
but
not to play devil's advocate, but that sort of decision, it can't happen instantaneous. I know that there's a lot of criticism and some of it is justified. It does take time. I don't know if, like I'm not behind the scenes. I can't, speak for how long that would have taken to make that decision, but I know it's not a snap of the finger. You got to, there are so many moving parts and everything like that, with, trying to get on the phone with both teams, both coaches, ascertain where they are. I think it could have been made quicker than an hour, but again, I don't know. I just know that it does take time, and it can't. It wasn't something that they could just instantly say, we're not playing the rest of this game tonight. There's so many people that you have to get input from and make the decision, and it's not just Roger Goodell. Roger Goodell ultimately has the final say, but I mean, if Roger Goodell wanted to cancel it, but the guys on the team, obviously this isn't the case, but if they wanted to still play and play for their teammate, but they wanted to wait like an hour or something like that, that's just, it's something that takes time to get that all figured out.
And we're definitely shout out to Damar Hamlin
Yeah,
making consistent progress so far. It's
absolutely.
always excellent. Another great BJ's best, ladies and
No, I
gentlemen.
appreciate that. I know it's a tough subject, and I mean, I know we're both kind of a little bit feeling it in the throat, having to address it, but I just I didn't want to allow the opportunity to pass without saying something, especially when talking about just the kind hearts that have been heated up in support of supporting this young man and his efforts for kids.
Yes, indeed. Uh, BJ, you got some games going on tonight. NBA season heating up. We talked about Lakers heating up.
Hmm.
A lot of unknowns tonight, but what is known is that the Mavs and the Celtics are playing. And I've got the
Hmm.
Mavs. When I'm looking to get in
Ooh,
on the action, I bet with DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NBA. New customers like you can bet just $5 pregame money line on those Mavericks to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do.
Drew's going with an eighth straight win. As much as I like his
Streaky.
aggressiveness, Drew, I'm not touching this game. My best bet tonight is Denver. I've got Denver winning over the Clippers at home, and going ahead and looking at Friday night's games, I think the Pelicans are going to give the Nets a second straight loss.
Pelicans
Yeah,
without Zion?
yeah, I know. I like what I've
Wow,
seen
no
from them.
Zion,
I know
no
they're
Ingram.
yeah, they're a good
Wow.
team though, even with all that being said. And then I'm looking at the other game, and it's very tough to say one way or the other. I think I've like Miami on the road as a 1 point favorite in Phoenix, but anyway, whatever you want to do, there's a lot of NBA action going on. And check this out. Right now, everyone can earn up to a 100% boost with DraftKings stepped up same game parlays. Drew, here's how you do it. You go to the DK Sportsbook app, you place a same game parlay,
Hmm.
combine multiple bets like which team's going to win, the ones I already mentioned, total number of boards. I mean, if you're expecting a triple double from Luka Doncic tonight, you want to put 10 plus rebounds from Luca in there, and much, much more. Because the more legs you add, Drew, the bigger the boost you can get, and the bigger your shot is to win big.
Download the app now. Sign up with code TBPN. Place a $5 pregame moneyline bet on any NBA team to win their game and get $150 in free bets if they do. That's code TBPN only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
Minimum age and eligibility restrictions apply. See show notes for details. All right, Drew, before we get back into talking about the MVP race, there's a lot of candidates. It's going to be an exciting conversation. But before we do that, Drew, what is on your mind for this edition, the first of 2023?
Hmm. Well, BJ, it's been a bit since I've done a national something day
Okay.
for what's on Drew's mind. Do you know what
All
the
right.
national something is for today?
No idea.
It is National Bird Day.
Bird. Okay.
National Bird Day.
My favorite bird
Right.
is Larry.
Oh, okay. There you go. Hey, it can also be Sue as well. Sue
Okay.
Bird,
Yeah.
Larry Bird, either one.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's a W either way it goes. You got some. You
I
got a
love
couple
it. I love it.
of
Yeah.
both now retired legends in the
Legends of their
game.
sport.
That's
Absolutely.
right. But yeah, National Bird Day in the house. And you said your favorite bird is Larry Bird, but what's your favorite actual bird? Do you have one? Or I mean, I
Um.
don't know if people traditionally have these anymore.
Yeah. I'm not a big ornithological kind of guy. I know the word just because it's fun to say, but I, I think I've always felt if I had to pick a bird, I've always felt a connection to the cardinal. I
Okay.
can't tell you why. I think it's maybe something that, I it it just feels like, like you're at peace when you see a cardinal. Like it reminds you of somebody that you lost, at least to me. I don't know if that's something that you've had any experience with or anything like that, but
Can't say I have.
okay.
Let's see. Do I have a favorite bird? No,
Do you
not
have a
really.
favorite bird?
Not really. Uh,
An oriole, a blue jay, a
no, we don't like the
macaw?
Blue Jays around here. We punch them in the face, right? No. Uh, no, I don't know. No, I don't think so. No favorite birds.
Mockingbird, maybe?
I'll just go with Sue. I'll just go with Sue Bird. Like you
Okay.
did there.
I
No
love it.
actual
I
bird.
love
I'm
it.
not.
I
Well,
love it.
if I gotta pick one, I'll just go Cardinal with you. If I'm going birds,
Sounds fine.
going
Sounds
birds.
fine.
Sue
Respect,
Bird,
respect.
four-time champion, 13-time All-Star, five-time Olympic gold medalist, WNBA leader in assists, wins, and games played. Oh my lord!
Heck of a choice, man. I mean, there's not too many better birds you can get.
Hey, you can't get much better than that, Sue Bird, man. But yeah, January 5th is National Bird Day.
Interesting.
Uh, the majority of bird species, however, in the U.S. face a grim future in coming decades of if environmental efforts such as mitigating climate change and decreasing habitat degradation, I hope I said that right, and
Yeah, I
loss
think
are
so.
not implemented on a larger scale. Well, that's bad
Mm.
news about the birds. I didn't want to read that.
No,
I didn't
that's
mean to do
what
that.
is National Bird Day, and we're going
They're
sour mode,
dying. I
man.
didn't mean to do that.
I mean, we've
Sorry.
enjoyed seeing the birds migrate south every year. I don't know if you do, but I mean, like it always feels like when I'm doing holiday shopping, and you come out of the store and they're all just like perched on the storefront or on the power lines or whatever. And it's just like, oh, they're already making their trip south. They just got here.
Yeah. And we got, let's see, in MLB, we got three teams with bird logos. Do you know those teams, BJ?
Orioles, Blue Jays, and Cardinals.
There you go. There you go. So some more National Bird Day stuff. You know what? I changed my mind. It's not a cardinal. I'm gonna go with a parrot.
Oh, okay.
Down with a parrot.
I respect it.
I thought about owls, but I was like, nah.
I see it also says that cardinals often are said to be reminders of relatives. So I didn't think I was too crazy.
There you go. And remember Big Bird from Sesame Street. Our
Yes, I
first,
absolutely do.
the first bird we ever loved.
The big old yellow guy himself.
Big old yellow fluffy sucker.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's not like a top 10 bird list or anything. So it's just like, hey,
Hmm.
it's National Bird Day. It's really all this was. So,
Interesting.
yeah,
Okay.
it's
So
National Bird Day
National
today.
Bird Day. Well, I was gonna say, what if since you pointed out it's National Bird Day, is there anything else of note about January 5th that it is National something else day or anything like that?
No, it is my niece's birthday, but that's about
Oh
it.
wow. Well, that's interesting. Happy
But
birthday to her.
yeah, thanks. I'll tell her.
I was gonna say, isn't let's see. I just did a quick search.
What was there?
So National Keto Day,
Oh,
National
no diet
Screenwriters Day.
screenwriters. All
So
right.
if you've ever tried to write a screenplay, I
I
guess
have
this
not.
is your day. I have not either. No.
I can't say that I'll be doing that anytime soon.
It's very difficult. Oh, it's also National Whipped Cream Day.
Oh,
That
oh,
sounds like something that I would be celebrating. Maybe
oh,
get you a bowl of
oh,
ice cream and
oh. Okay. Well, you go ahead then.
you can have some too, man.
Nope. Didn't sound like you were sharing at all.
I
No.
never said
Yeah.
you weren't invited over.
But you didn't
We'll
say I
have an ice
was.
cream party,
All
man.
right. No, I don't want your ice cream now. What's your
Now
stinking
it
ice
sounds like
cream?
you just don't want to out of spite.
Nope. Nope.
Well, I hope you're not this way in our next segment. I'll say that.
That is what's on Drew's mind.
Awesome. Well, birds of prey flock together, and
Birds of a
there's
feather.
birds of a feather may flock together, but birds of prey are the
Pray.
ones atop the NBA MVP ladder. Drew,
Okay. I didn't know where that was going.
I was trying to. If you'd give
I
me
was
a
like,
second to. I mean, there are so many candidates right now, Drew, that you can make arguments for that have, legitimate MVP hopes. That that is a fair question. Is this the most difficult vote that if you were a voter to make a decision for the MVP race? How are you supposed to pick when you've seen some of the performances that we've seen? We talked last week, obviously, about what Luka Doncic did with his 60-point, 20 board, 10 assist game against the Knicks in the overtime win. That was nearly, I'm not saying it was nearly outdone just a couple nights ago, Drew, with what Donovan Mitchell of the Cleveland Cavaliers did.
They
70
went crazy.
points, 10 boards, 10 plus boards, and 8 rebounds. He or 10 plus assists, I should say, not boards, and 8 boards. He was so close to a 70-point triple double, Drew. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just it's phenomenal. I mean, it got we got some instant reaction to what Donovan Mitchell was able to do. Let's hear from his coach JB Bickerstaff first, and then we'll hear from the man himself.
But he was determined to show that this group and winning is the most important thing to him. And I mean, there's not enough words. I've never been witness to a performance like that live. I think we've seen some of it on TV before, but we were treated tonight to one of the greatest performances in the history of the NBA.
Danny.
Greatest performances in the history of the NBA does feel maybe like an overstatement, but maybe not. I mean, I don't think we've seen anything remotely close to a 70-point triple double other than what Luka was able to do just a few nights back last week. But if Mitchell had gotten 2 more boards, you'd have 2 weeks in a row where not just a 60-point triple double was done, 60-20-10, but you'd have the first 70-point triple double in NBA history.
What was better, Luka 60 21 10 or Donovan Mitchell 71 10 8? Both dubs.
Both overtime dubs. I think it's still Luka. I may be a little bit biased, but both guys had to. They both teams really needed every single bit of what they got from their guys in order to get wins in their games. I still think that what Luka did is more impressive, Drew, because it was not going to matter for squat because they were down 9 with 30 seconds to go until Luka willed them back quite literally, almost single-handedly. He did get an assist on Dinwiddie's 3 that made it a 1-point game, with about 10 seconds to go. But it is tough to pick between the two. I still say what Luka did is a little bit more impressive, which doesn't take anything away from what Donovan Mitchell did.
And let's kind of go through what these different players have been doing. Just Luka Doncic. You talk about Luka, 60 21 10 game, a couple of 50 burgers, and just absolutely playing nuclear. The player of the month out of all this craziness for the West. And
here's a stat for you, Drew, for what Luka did in that 5-game span. You go from
do it.
His performance against Houston, I think like the second or third game. It started like a 5-game span where he had 3 50-point outings, including the 60-21-10. He's the first player in NBA history in a 5-game span, Drew, to get 250 points, 50 boards, and 50 assists. I mean, that's something we've never seen before.
That's crazy.
But it's almost like it might have been topped. We'll talk about who might have topped it here in just a minute because we've also got a clip to show for him. But before we move on from what Mitchell did, I wanted to hear from the man himself about his performance, if that's all right.
In that kind of air.
It's humbling. I'm speechless, to be honest with you, when you say that. I think, for me, not only did I do that, but I did it in an effort where we came back and won, and it's how we won. That's really what, for me, was like, man, like this is, nuts, to be honest. So yeah, I'm extremely blessed, humbled that I'm in that company, in that group. I've always believed I can be, one of the best players in this league, but I got to keep working. And this is a big milestone, but at the end of the day, we got to continue to, those guys have all won, at the highest level, and that's my ultimate goal. But to be there in the record books with them is truly incredible.
So if you didn't see the on-screen graphic, if you're listening here after the fact with us on whatever platform you may get your podcast, there are 3 names, Drew, that are among the Cavaliers' all-time leading scorers. There, 5 times it was done. 3 by LeBron James, makes sense. 2 by Kyrie Irving. Mm-hmm. But Donovan Mitchell outdid them all with his 71-point performance. The LeBron and Kyrie, 5 different games where they all scored 50 points or more in a Cavs game.
Pretty crazy stuff from Donovan Mitchell, man. We
Mhm.
haven't seen anything like that. Man, he was on a heater when he was in Dallas like a month ago.
Yeah.
He had like 29 like midway through the second, and then he didn't shoot but maybe a few times like through the third quarter and stuff, or else he could have probably done it that night. He was hot that night. I was like, dang,
Absolutely.
he's just flaming
Yeah.
us. He's the whole reason we're losing this game. But
Yeah.
yeah, no, he's an incredible player. They say he's D Wade 2.0. What's Wade's career high? 50 something maybe.
I mean,
Wade had to
yeah,
have gotten 50 at
I
some point.
thought he got 60 one time, but I wouldn't
Maybe.
know for sure.
But we'll see.
Let's talk about the other candidates, though, Drew. I mean,
Yeah, we mentioned Luca,
mhm.
and
Tough not to pick him.
what about the 2-time MVP, the reigning 2-time MVP, Nikola Jokic?
Yeah,
I mean,
tough not to pick him either.
his Nuggets are top 3 in the power ranking, sitting at number 2 right now. He's got a top seed in the West. I believe they're second now, or maybe they're tied for first or something. I don't know.
They are
no,
tied for
second.
first with
Tied
the
for first.
Grizzlies after last night's
There you go.
performances.
So he's gotten to 2-time MVP. Has got his team in the best position that they've ever been in since he's been, captain in that ship out there. The Nuggets have never been that high in the West at,
Mhm.
near the midway point of the season. And they're playing big time basketball. He's got everybody healthy now. And, not too long ago, he put up a 40, 20, 10 triple double. And, he's putting up big numbers on the regular and, having a better season, more efficient than he did last year. BJ, is
Yeah.
that crazy to even say that the 2-time MVP is even better than he was last year?
No, it's not crazy to say. It's just absurd because, there's so many great players and they're all having so many great performances that even though he's playing at a much better clip than he has the last 2 years, it doesn't feel like he's going to win a third straight. I mean, I just don't see, unless everybody else kind of slips off and he stays consistent, like what you were talking about last week, where they're going to give it to somebody else, even if they shouldn't necessarily, so that the same player doesn't win, more than twice in a row. Like we were talking about, LeBron had should have 5 in a row, 6 in a row, or something like
Yeah,
that.
it should have been 5 in a row.
5 in a row, yeah. I don't think that they're going to want that kind of, necessarily allow that to happen. I'm right there with you on that.
Yeah.
And there's so many candidates. It's going to take a
But-
lot, I think, for him to get it for a third straight time.
But BJ, think about some of these things. Like we said, tied for number 1 in the West right now.
Mhm. And that's not necessarily what the only factor that goes into it.
Career high field goal percentage this year,
Mhm.
61.5.
Yeah.
35% from 3,
Mhm.
81 from the line, and he's half an assist short of averaging a triple double. Like, how could you deny a back-to-back MVP who got even better and is now averaging those triple doubles he gets infrequently, but now I guess more frequently? And I don't know. I mean, like, there's a lot of other big-time talent, but like the 2-time MVP got better. So you're basically saying anybody saying who isn't picking Jokic is that the player that beats him out is unequivocally the best player in the world immediately, because he's playing really well. I mean, it's
Well,
just like
let me-
I get what you're saying, that it's unrealistic to give a 3-peat. Like, if LeBron
Yeah.
didn't get it, and Giannis didn't get it, why would Jokic get it? Doesn't
Yeah.
make sense. But
Yeah.
I mean, he's doing enough to be like, man, I don't know. But when it comes down to the voting and all these big time players that we've got, this shuffle of like 5 right now,
Mm-hmm.
at least, um, the voters are just going to end up picking their favorite player, I think, at the end of the day.
It's
So,
very possible. It's very
yeah,
possible. It doesn't feel like there's a consensus right now.
yeah.
Even you look at the NBA MVP ladder, they're kind of stumped because they go on a week by week basis, and then so much changes in a week that it just
Mhm.
completely gets flipped on its head. I mean, Drew, we haven't even talked about, and I've got a video clip to support this, but you said how can you make an argument for against Nikola Jokic? Well, has Nikola Jokic put up 200 plus points, 80 plus rebounds, and 30 plus assists over his last 5 games? No, nobody else has
Not
done
the
that
last 5 games.
other than Giannis Antetokounmpo. Giannis has done this in a 5 game span: 30 points, 21 boards, 10 assists. 55 points, 10 boards, 7 assists, 43 points, 20 boards, 5 assists, 45, 22, and 7, and 27, 9, and 3. The first player since Kareem 50 years ago in 1972 to drop 200 plus points, 80 boards, and 30 assists in a
He
5 game span. How can you make an argument against what he's done?
he did it so quietly. I don't know.
Yeah,
The Bucks aren't winning as much anymore, and that unlike any little factor that you can get to discount these players at this point is what it's going to end up being. So like where everybody stacks up. I mean, like Giannis is putting up these historic numbers. He's a 2-time MVP as well, but his Bucks are dropping down a little bit and getting surpassed by the Nets of the world. KD, depending
yeah,
on where his numbers are, he could have a better case because he's led his team past Giannis. I mean, I don't know. It's just the smallest thing can boot them out of the way. But Giannis is having an incredible run right now, and
yeah,
it's happened so quietly. It's the
yeah,
craziest part, and his play is so loud too. That's the
yeah.
craziest part about
Well, I was just saying, I
that
mean,
too.
we just watch some of these highlights here from his last 5 games and tell me that this is not a guy that's making an argument for MVP.
From the finals loss, Brown told me that it was embarrassing for him, and Tatum agreed, but he added that he knows that all of the greats, they have gone through some sort of adversity as Giannis throws it down. He referenced Kobe and the Pistons.
The 1 and 2 teams in the NBA in terms of overall records. There's Giannis with the foul line jumper. He has been knocking that down with consistency.
From 3-point territory. Isolated look from the top of the key. The throwdown by Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Oh my goodness. Has got to step up and make shots.
He wins the jump ball against Vucevic. And feeding Brook Lopez the alley-oop, and the Bucks take the lead. Javon Carter leading the break, feeds Giannis. Spin move, Giannis off the glass, gets it to drop his first and one of the night. He's got 3 fouls that he picked up in the first half, so we don't need him to pick up another. Giannis with the back down. Giannis away! Boy, he's something. To Porzingis, 8 points here to begin with. Giannis with the take. Uh-oh, look out. No showtime. What you got, Giannis?
Was shown on that last possession. That's what competing is all about.
Giannis baseline, a little circus shot. It is showtime.
I think he likes me less.
What a find, Giannis to Lopez with his seeing eye goggles on. Giannis touches the paint, sprays it out. Allen got it. Butter.
At
Man.
this point, the league just needs to get a hat and put all 5 candidates' names in it, and everybody just go in there and draw one each time. Everybody do a different drawing. And be like, oh, you got Luka. Oh, you got Giannis. That seems fair. No argument there. Oh, okay. Oh, Tatum. Oh, and that's where we're going next. Jason Tatum playing some incredible basketball,
Mhm.
and we begin as we continue talking about players. We get to just as good of defenders the more we talk. Into Giannis, and his defensive play, his two-way play. Tatum also a two-way player leading his Celtics. And, they're right back in the rankings up top the NBA. They were number 1 last week. They're sitting at number 3 in the overall rankings right now, or top 3 still, but
Mhm.
in the third, the ones I'm looking at. They're 26-12, and it's just a matter of time for the Celtics to, be in position to try and get back to where they were last year, and that's the NBA Finals.
Mhm.
Everybody's getting healthier for their team as well, and Jason Tatum is just looking like it could be his year too. I mean, just like
Yeah.
everyone else. I mean,
Man,
he's right there in the thick of things, but I don't know if he's necessarily in the if you break it down to a top three, I don't know if Tatum's in that right now, but I
I
don't
think I
know.
think he is. I think
I don't
he
know.
is. I mean, I know we've had
Okay, those three that we just mentioned, then who do you bump out and put Tatum in for?
I mean, that's what I'm trying to decide. I think out of the three, even though it feels bad to say, Jokic. I
Ooh,
mean, I know it sounds bad,
number one
but
in the West, almost averaging a triple
well,
double.
that's
You
what I'm
got
saying
to.
though, is that there's more to an MVP than just being the best player on the best team. That's my problem with a lot of this. When we're talking about the best player, it should not be the best player on the best team. If you're having a fantastic season, even if your team is down in the cellar, stinking up the place, and not paying rent or anything like that, does that mean that they're not a valuable player? That they are single-handedly almost responsible for what's giving their team even a glimmer of hope? I mean,
Hey
that's
man,
how do we evaluate, MVP? There's so many
hey,
different options. It's
I'm with you,
yeah.
but I just try to
There's so
go
many different
off of it
arguments.
based off how I know the NBA is going to do it.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
we know how we would like to do it and how it should be, but we know they're going best player, best team. So like that's
Yeah.
what I was saying about like if it ends the season where the Nuggets are the number 1 seed and the Bucks are like the number 3, Jokic, if he doesn't win it, he could finish 2 in that race and Giannis be 3 just because of that small reason that somebody could find to put them above each other.
Yeah.
Like, because they're both having a historic season, it's like, man, you can't really go wrong with either,
Yeah.
Luka, Jokic, Giannis, Tatum, and here we come to talk about next Kevin Durant, who's
Yeah.
brought his Nets that we mentioned earlier. Him and Kyrie brought up the Nets
Yeah.
into first in the East right now, 12
Mhm.
wins out of the last 13 games, 12-game winning streak, 50, 40, 90 season. He could do it again.
Yeah.
And he's averaging 30 a game in the streak for sure.
Yeah.
And he just can't be stopped right now. And
Yeah.
it's quietly
Yeah.
happening
I was
too.
gonna
And
say, as
like,
much
I
as
mean, a 12-game win streak isn't quiet, but
yeah.
Kevin Durant quietly averaging 30 on a 50, 40, 90 within it is kind of crazy. And it's just like it's only swept under the rug because, so many players are playing so well this season. But
That
KD is right
that
in the
and
thick of it again because
yeah.
last year when he was healthy, he was a top 2, right with
Mhm.
Jokic. We had him above Embiid and other players like that. So
Yeah.
a best version of Kevin Durant is always in the thick of things.
Yeah, and I think that that's kind of what's kind of hurting his candidacy right now. We're so used to this kind of play from him and expecting that he doesn't really kind of cross your mind as a candidate, even though he absolutely should be, just because like, oh, that's just what Kevin Durant does. That's just the level he's always playing at. And when you're playing on a team with you've got two superstars, I mean, especially you brought up Kyrie, and we'll play this here in just a second as soon as you're ready. I mean, when you got superstars on a team, can you really make the argument that he's the most valuable player when you've got a team of superstars like, with KD, Kyrie, and even Ben Simmons, who's upped his levels and everything like that? That's maybe where he kind of gets a little bit lost in the shuffle, in my opinion.
Play that clip.
Okay, I will.
Now it's Irving with 10 to shoot. Nets have built the lead back to 17. Watanabe, spin, fend off, jumper.
Kyrie Irving just brought the house down here in Brooklyn. My goodness, look at that bench. Ooh-wee. I'm not sure this crowd is going to recover.
That's one of the better reactions I've ever seen
Yeah, I
after
know.
a dunk in there. Perfect call reaction, perfect bench reaction, all the players,
Yeah.
everything. And Watanabe on the court, like, yo, did he just do that? But
Here's a fantastic question. Is this game just getting easier for these players? I mean, that is a very fair thing that you can ask with how many, historic performances we are seeing. Is it something that they're playing at such a high level because it's coming easy to them? Or are we just kind of, are we seeing so many great players, I mean, we've always had great players throughout the years in every season of the league, but it feels like we might have even more than ever before.
I think probably what's more so happening, not that the game is necessarily getting easier, which I mean, I think for every player getting more experience of years in the NBA, the game gets easier. So,
Hmm.
um, for it gets easier for everybody every year, probably.
Yeah,
Um, where's I going with that? It's not getting easier for the players. Oh man, dang, I had it.
but it's
Ah, I know it was on the tip of my tongue. I was there. Um, oh man, brain fart. Give
oh
me
man,
some,
the
BJ.
worst time too.
I
I
know.
mean, here's I think it's funny because we got Tatum and Luca
Oh,
going
got
head.
it. Okay. So I think it's the fact that like the defenders aren't as good as they used to be. Like when you look at the all defensive teams, like the only one you see that's like where you like have threats defensively most of the time is the first team. Like you usually
Hmm.
have the Giannis on it, a Kawhi on it, a Draymond, like previous defensive players of the year. But like the rest of the all defensive team is I think people that can be I don't know. It just I feel like we had better defense back. I mean, I know players are getting better. The game is getting easier as players get, older in the league, but like,
Yeah,
should we be having this race as close as it is right now? Like because it's
is
probably been at least since I want to say '09 since something was close like this. If I can
yeah.
think of one off the top of my head, that was a LeBron, Kobe, D Wade, Chris Paul, and like Melo and whoever fighting for it
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, and I mean, you bring up a fair point with that. Like the first team only being really the scary defensive team. Defense isn't as much of a priority anymore. I
It's
mean,
not.
it's
Not
really
until the
not.
playoffs. It's not
Yeah,
until the playoffs.
that's what kind of where I think a little bit why we're seeing some of these historic performances is because there's not as much focus. I mean, you're not playing defense the way that you'd play defense in the NBA 30 years ago. I mean, the era that Barkley and Carl Malone and Michael Jordan and all those guys played in defensively, they were getting away with so much more, and it was just a more physical game. You weren't going out kicking out for the open three as much. It was a different way of playing. Now that the court is more spaced out, you're really not seeing as much emphasis on it because you kind of just have to say, all right, you're going to take a low percentage shot. And if you make it, hats off to you. If you don't, then we'll get a chance to go down the court and run our offense. There's no bully inside, intimidation, kind of, you got to earn your 2 points or earn your basket. There is still some of it, but not nearly as much as what we used to see.
And because of the 3-point era that we're in now, a lot of outside shooting. And, if you got guys like Curry just knocking down outside shots, I mean, they're just going to
Mhm.
Curry and Klay Thompson and, guys of that nature, Damian Lillard, just
Yeah.
knocking down things on the outside. Like, it's not, I mean, it's
Like
not
it's
a whole
nothing.
lot you can do when people are shooting from 40, and knocking
Hmm.
it down. So that's part of the gap in it right there, where it feels like it's people are doing more historic things, like the Derrick Rose MVP season seems like a regular NBA player these days. Derrick Rose is like 25. I don't know, 5-5 or something. Players are
Hmm.
getting that on a regular basis these days. Uh, his numbers were kind of average compared to what we're looking at now, and like it's because of that lack of defense and seriousness in the regular season. I think
Yeah.
did they make a new award for the regular season, like the most wins? I'm
Yes,
pretty
they
sure,
did.
yeah.
Yeah, it's a
So
similar
like
to whatever the commissioner's trophy or
a
whatnot.
small way to try and incentivize the regular season, I guess, but it's
Hmm.
still always ultimately about the playoffs and what you do there.
Yeah.
Because like you obviously see coaches scheme and game plan different in a 7-game series as opposed to a 2-game road trip. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
that
Here's what I'll say with Luca and Tatum going head to head. Whoever loses, Giannis goes above them because right now it's Jokic, Luca, Tate or Luca Tatum flip flop. Whoever loses can go above, and then Giannis could slide up to three. I mean, there's like we've talked about, there's legitimately 5 to 8 guys who could be in the MVP race right now. So
Yeah, and we didn't even mention Joel Embiid.
yeah,
and the Sixers he's leading right now. I mean, Joel Embiid, kind of taking the short end of the stick the past couple of years due to his
Yeah.
lack of games that he's been able to play. I mean, who knows? Jokic may not even be a two-time MVP if Embiid play a little bit more games past
Yeah.
couple of seasons because at times people had Embiid in the front, and then when he had the injury, I think it was the first time around in 2020 and 2021 when
Hmm.
he missed like I don't know 20 games or something or a good span that just had him out, and then Jokic just ran away with it.
Yeah.
That's kind of what hurts things. But Embiid's playing well right now. I mean, still doing what he's been doing the past couple of years. But that's
Mitchell cracked the top 10 before a 71-point performance. He's right there on the outskirts as well. I
there you
mean,
go. Yeah,
I
Donovan
think
Mitchell in it with the
yeah,
Cavs. So
I
there's
think
a lot
before
of people.
injuries happened, Zion Williamson was up there, John Morant, obviously
Yeah.
kind of in that same scenario as well.
And if Curry comes back nice and healthy, there was a report that he's going to try and be back like next week. He said,
He's
he's been
pretty
doing
close to
some
about
work.
that timetable at this
Yeah,
point.
so it hasn't been long enough to where I mean you can completely exclude Steph Curry if he comes back in
Yeah,
a good rhythm. He was on a really historic year or he was having a really nice year for himself. And if he can
absolutely.
come back and help the Warriors right the ship on the road side of things,
Hmm.
Golden State could be poised to repeat if they
I
just
mean,
catch a rhythm. I mean, they
yeah,
need is playoffs too, and they'll
yeah,
have a healthy Curry by then. And Clay's on a
yeah.
heater right now. Oh man,
It
this is
they it's
this is it.
amazing the run that the Warriors have been on. It's like they just took only their third home loss of the year just last night, and I mean they've been just mind-bogglingly absurd at home this year, and it just they've had some all-time classics. The game against the Hawks that. Come on, Looney, put the tip back in with less than a second to go in double overtime. It just
Yeah, that was
you
sickening.
know they're just there's something about the Chase Arena or whatever that for whatever reason they're not losing at home. They can't figure it out for whatever reason on the road seemingly. But asking if they get back in the postseason and they're a high seed, watch out.
Yeah, and Ice in the chat saying uh, he wished they'd look at it more as doing more with less because with that
Hmm.
Donovan Mitchell has kind of led this Cavs team to fourth in the East thus far.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's kind of how we were talking about it.
Hmm.
NBA looks at it different, just kind of best player, best team. They don't look at the actual
Yeah.
most valuable part of
And
it, and
he
that's
he
just
made
kind of
he
the way.
made he made the funny points like so this award is the Heisman, which is kind of if you follow college football, it's
Yeah,
essentially is the same thing. Yeah.
yeah. And Jordan Poole for 6 man. I think Russ has got a better case.
Those are my top
Because
two right
Jordan Poole,
now.
I don't know. Jordan Poole, how many games has he started compared to Russ? I don't know. See
I
where
have
he's at
to
on
I have
that.
to look.
But no, I mean it's probably a two-man race right now. Jordan Poole, Russell Westbrook. I mean you can't
Mhm.
really go wrong either way. Russell's been quite the impact. Jordan, doing quite a bit himself. His jump from being like G League third team was it to knocking down 40 balls in the NBA is just crazy.
Yeah.
It's awesome, and the more I see Jordan Poole play, and it explains why they're such good friends. Him and Enrique, they've got a similar way they go about their play.
Yeah,
I'll see if she
absolutely.
approves of that, but yeah, I definitely see some of their games in each other. Not the exact same player, of course, but definitely see a resemblance in the
So
way they
let's see. So
approach it.
Jordan Poole this season, how many starts has he made? I'm trying to see if I can
Got you, dog.
he started 20 so far of the 39. And then for Russell Westbrook, if I can find that real quick here. Uh, just give me a second.
I got
If
you,
you
dog.
if
I
you
got
find
it.
it, go ahead and input.
Yeah, he's only started 3 games out of 35.
All right. So yeah, I mean, with Poole starting 20, it feels like that may be too many for him to be in
Yeah,
consideration for six
he's
man.
started about half the game so far,
Yes.
and he'll
Yeah.
be starting, for another
Quite a
week.
few more until Curry comes back.
Yeah, I don't. They'll probably put him back in the bench role to utilize him as that flamethrower off the bench, but yeah, I mean, And I think it would be such an excellent story too to go back and for Russ to get 6 man after, everything that he's gone through the past few years, just kind of shuffling from team to team and all the hate that's come his way over the years. But
Yeah,
it's gonna be fun for these races down the stretch for sure.
absolutely.
And now BJ, it's time for with it or quit it.
That's right, Drew. It's a brand new year and it's a brand new edition of With It or Quit It. We're back on a normal schedule where, this week and next week, Drew, I am in charge of the question keeping and I will be asking you 5 questions. And you have to tell me if you are with these questions, if you're in the affirmative, is apparently, or if you're going to quit them. You say, no, get that out of here. So, without further ado, Drew, are you ready?
I can do that. I'm ready.
All right, number 1. Before the end of the NBA season, as many individual performances that we've seen that are just mind-boggling, someone's going to close in on what Kobe did in 06. Somebody's going to come close to getting that 81-point mark. Are you with it, or are you going to quit it that somebody before the end of this season, not saying they're going to top it, they're going to come close to 81 in a game?
They already did.
So you're already saying that Mitchell 71 closes in. I'm saying even closer than that.
No.
All right.
Quit it.
Quit it.
I'm
So
gonna
about
quit it.
71 is about
71
the top.
is pretty crazy. I mean, you haven't had.
Yeah.
It's been what is it, 14 years since Kobe did that?
Yeah,
Yeah,
about
it's
some
14, 15
15,
years.
yeah.
It'll probably be another 5 till we get another 70 ball. I don't know.
Didn't
70 would
didn't
have to be like double OT, unless Luca was. That's all Luca was doing was shooting. Because if he's doing Luca stuff, he's gonna have a triple double with it.
yeah.
But I don't know, man.
Didn't we
Over
get
71 would be insane. Like
didn't
it,
Booker get over 71
he got
not
no,
too
he got
long?
70,
70 on the dot.
right,
Okay.
right at 70, and
Gotcha.
that was
Okay.
that was years ago.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like it wasn't that long ago, but
Oh well, so I guess I got to take that back. It's only been like 2 or 3 years since somebody's gotten that close to. I don't know, man.
yeah, and
This
that's why.
season, I'm gonna say I'm gonna stay with quit it though.
All right, I respect it, and I thought that it would be one that would definitely get you thinking. So, all right,
Yeah, oh yeah.
number 2, a lot of good options pizza wise.
Oh man.
Question is, no one out pizzas the Hut, or do they? When you go get a slice of pizza or you get a fresh pie, you choose to go to Domino's instead. Are you with it, or are you gonna quit it?
Quit it.
Quit
Pizza
it.
Inn. Pizza Inn is the superior pizza place. Just want to let you know of all the places.
Okay, but that's not
As far as
nationwide,
like
is it?
a normal pizza chain, well, like I like to go to Blaze Pizza. Shout out
Okay.
LeBron James
Hmm.
for their pizza out there. But like as far as like you're ordering pizza in your normal town and you got options: Pizza Hut, Domino's, Little Caesars, and all that.
Yeah.
It's Pizza Inn for me.
Okay.
Pizza Inn just it's always hit. It was my first job actually, but that's not the reason why. But I
Hmm.
know it smacks. I've been eating it for a while. Like I know this is the superior pizza. It's where it's at. Pizza Inn out, Pizza the Hut.
Pizza Inn out Pizza the Hut, not
Right.
Domino's, not Little Caesars, but Pizza Inn.
So
Okay.
quit it.
All right. 2 for 2 with the quit it so far. I
Oh,
didn't.
what does
I
he
didn't
think
write
he's
the.
doing here?
I didn't write this for any one way or the other. We'll see. We'll see. Okay, Drew, number 3.
Hmm.
So we talked about DeMar Hamlin earlier during BJ's Best. Some of the, extraneous circumstances is what to do with the remainder of that Bills-Bengals game, as important as it was for the postseason. So, Drew, the NFL should push back the postseason a week and play the remainder of that game with DeMar Hamlin's recovery progress looking as good as it has been here the past couple days. Are you with it, or are you going to quit it? What do you think they should do?
Quit it. Nah, forget that game. Forget
Don't
that
play it
game.
at all?
I haven't won. I didn't win the fantasy championship this year anyway, so it's not like it matters. Forget that game. Just I heard they were probably end up going by record or something,
Mm-hmm.
but just do that. Just do that. That's okay. Yeah, I lost because if I would have started Leonard Fournette the week before instead of Christian Kirk, who hasn't been able to be as productive because Zay Jones has come on. Shame on
Mm-hmm.
me for starting Christian Kirk, but I didn't think Leonard Fournette would be the entire like receiving game that week. Literally,
Yeah.
he was it. Like Godwin didn't hardly get anything to help me out. Like
Hmm.
maybe 10 points. Like what's that? But Leonard Fournette had 20 and a half on my bench, and I
Oh,
needed 14 more to win.
man, I'm in
And
the
I wouldn't
fantasy
have.
championship this week, the past 2 weeks, and I had Daniel Jones on the bench. I started Justin Fields against the Lions because the Lions have the worst passing defense in the league, and then he got hurt. I mean, I'm hopeful that I can still win. I mean, my opponent has Jamar Chase and Stephon Diggs, so
Yeah, you're done.
I'm not saying that because I want I want to see that game. I don't want to I don't want to lose a fantasy championship, but I still want to see that game played. But
Yeah.
I'm not upset with whatever they decide to do. So
Yeah. Um, but no, I would have probably won this week. I mean, depending on the results of that game actually
mhm.
and how many points the person in the championship game would get, cuz he's projected to actually like get 2 points more than me, but like you never know
Mhm.
what could happen. Josh
Yeah,
Allen have a little bit less good of a game, or that defensive I think he's got I think wait, no. A kicker or a defensive some other little player that doesn't get his projected or whatever just by a hair, that could be like, you know what, if I'd have started Leonard Fournette last week, I'd be a back-to-back fantasy football champion. But here we are. I'm third place in the next year, this
yeah.
year. So
I
whatever.
I finished third in my paid league. I'm hoping to win my first ever fantasy championship in my other league. I'll report back next week and we'll see how it goes.
All
So
right, first ever. Hope you get it, dog.
I do too. I do too. Number 4. I'm hoping this might be the one because I don't know about number 5. If you don't, if you say quit at number 4, we really should get our alarm getting ready. So
Oh man.
number 4, Drew. I know you've been one to play some card games in the past.
Okay.
Now, did you say your favorite is, or the one that you play the most often, is Texas Hold'em? With it or quit it?
Quit it.
Oh,
It's actually blackjack.
okay.
Oh
Wrong with that? Nothing wrong with that.
shoot, 4 quit it. Ah!
Goodness. Well, you're either gonna go quit it because you're being logical with this one, or you're gonna say with it because you're gonna pick with your heart.
I'm
Number
gonna be an
5,
honest answer here.
honest answer. All right.
All right.
Number 5, Drew. Monday night in SoFi Stadium. You're gonna go with the underdog TCU Horned Frogs to take down Georgia to win the national championship. With it or quit it.
Oh! Oh,
Oh man. Are we gonna
wow.
start the new year off the inverse of what we ended the old year off with? I don't know why my voice got so high there.
Mm, mm.
You're not gonna hurt my feelings, whatever you answer. Just you said it, answer honestly.
Quit it.
Well,
Georgia back to
ladies and
back.
gentlemen.
Georgia back to back. They shouldn't even be there without that
Well.
horrible missed
Now you're
kick.
going after my feelings.
Hey, I'm not talking about TCU. I'm talking about Georgia shouldn't be there.
Oh,
There's that
okay.
horrible kick from Ohio State at the end of that game. I was like,
Mhm.
what? Not even. Oh my
Yeah.
god! Did a third grader kick that? Like, what's going on? So yeah, they should be at home right now. They're lucky enough to be there, and I think they're gonna play their butts off and go back to back. So
Hmm.
5 straight quitteds for me.
My goodness, I know we've had 5 straight with us. Have we? Is this our first 5-for-5 quitted, Drew?
It might be. We'll have to check the
We'll
books
have
for
to
that.
check the tape.
Yeah, I think it is though.
Oh
And
my
I'm the
goodness.
first to get both of them.
Wow. I didn't even do that intentionally, Drew. I'm being honest with you. I did not write that
Man,
so that you go 5-for-5 one way or the other.
man. And I wasn't doing that on purpose. I was like, man, I actually don't think TCU will win it.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
here we
hey.
go.
I see in the chat says that was a great kick. Hold up.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh man.
Heck yeah.
Well, all right, Drew. History back-to-back weeks with a with it 5-for-5 and then a quit it 5-for-5.
Crazy.
Pretty crazy. About as crazy as this semifinal games last Saturday. But Drew, my Frogs are in it, and I haven't done it yet. Kind of waiting, holding it out, see what happens Monday night. But I'm gonna get some I'm gonna get some football merch from
Okay.
Fanatics
There you
after
go.
what I saw last Saturday. And right now, Drew, if you are looking for some new apparel, maybe you want to get yourself a jersey from whoever wins on Monday night, you can get 65% off, up to 65% off site wide at Fanatics right now by using promo code Frigid. That is good for the remainder of Thursday. I'm sure they'll have another coupon in store for this weekend. Lots of great deals at Fanatics. Any kind of bowl merch, Fiesta, sugar, peach, cotton. Maybe you're a Tulane supporter. Tulane with a big upset win over USC. You can find all kinds of college merch. Maybe they've got something special for, Donovan Mitchell's 70-point performance, Lucas 60, 21, 10. I've got just on the shelf over there, I got a Christmas gift, a new Mavs jersey that I'll be wearing when I
Hey, I
go
got a new
to
Mavs jersey too.
when I go see the Mavs here in a couple weeks. So
There you go.
yeah, you want anything you want to look for at Fanatics, you know where to go, to the link in our description. Click that and get you some merch, and the you get yourself a good discount too by going to Fanatics. What's on store? What's on tap over at T Public, Drew? Anything good this week?
T Public, the usual, up to 35% off site wide. And, when those sales go off, you get free shipping on $80+ on your order. So,
Mm-hmm.
just get a total on your cart worth $80. That shipping is free afterwards. You can get shirts, hoodies, t-shirts, long sleeves, coffee mugs, tote bags, you name it. We've got some things for you.
I
So make
just
sure you
washed my pillowcase to with the Lowdown logo on it. So
there you go. I got my pillows over there, nice and firm. They're good pillows, excellent
nice and
pillows.
good. Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent travel pillows for anybody on the road. You
Mm-hmm.
want to listen to the lowdown and sleep on it too? Get that
Yeah.
pillow.
Man, I mean, you got
But
a lot. If I'm going to make that road trip over to LA, I'm going to need a lot of Lowdown pods to listen to. I'll tell you that.
Yes, indeed. But make sure you get over there and get your merch, get all merched up. I know Christmas just happened, but hopefully you've had a payday by now, right? I know rent was just a few days ago, so maybe everybody's still broke. Who knows? But
Maybe you
we
got a
love to see you.
birthday coming up.
Hey, somebody does.
Somebody does.
Who knows?
I don't know. I
We'll
don't know
figure
who
out
that
that
is, but
person. We'll figure it out. But
yeah.
all right, ladies and gentlemen, that is another episode of the Low Down Sports Show. And make sure you guys go follow us on social media at @the_lowdown on TikTok, Twitch, YouTube, Twitter, and Instagram. Drop those follows. We'll catch you next week. Ladies and gentlemen, appreciate y'all showing out in the chat today. All the viewers coming in, hanging out. Shout out Icy. It's been another great show, and
Absolutely.
it's a great start to 2023. Looking
It
forward
is
to
fantastic
many
start.
more episodes. And as soon as we can get in rhythm, it's been a while since we had a guest.
Yeah,
Need to swing one in here again.
absolutely. See you next week.
Till next time. Peace.